They took little babies and threw them in the grave.
Jack Waksal witnessed firsthand unimaginable horrors from the darkest period in human history. Nearly 80 years later, those images are still etched into his mind and his nightmares, deep scars that will never heal.
When the Germans come in, the first morning was on a loudspeaker right away. Jewish kids has to come out 7 o'clock in the morning to work.
The 99-year-old Holocaust survivor invited me into his home in Miami Beach, Florida. For hours, he recounted the painful memories of his past. His entire family murdered. Both of his parents, 2 sisters and brother, once led beautiful, happy lives. Lives that were cut short in the most horrific of ways.
We didn't even got no ideas that it would be something like this in life.
Jack was born and raised in Jedlinsk, Poland, about an hour's drive south of Warsaw. His father, Samuel, was a moil, the name for a person who performs the Jewish ritual of circumcision. Jack speaks fondly of his mother, Pesa, who sadly he doesn't even have a photo of. He tells us how she took care of her 4 children and cooked delicious traditional Jewish meals. Jack can still smell and taste her cooking.
My mom cooked everything in life. My mom cooked potatoes. She cooked what they call it farfu in Yiddish. She used to bake everything, every kugel. We never went out in restaurants, I can tell you right now.
A safe, secure home that was filled with love for Jack, his older brother Yehiel, his older sister Yocheved, seen here, and younger sister Brucha, who we also don't have a photo of. But in 1937, 2 years before the Nazis invaded Poland, the anti-Semitism in their hometown and across the country ramped up. Jack remembers his non-Jewish friends turning on him.
I used to play with the kids and soccer and everything else. I would never believe it, that these kids would go against me.
Germany invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939, the start of World War II.
All of a sudden they said on the loudspeaker, Jedlis is going to be made a ghetto. We didn't even know what a ghetto means.
Jack, his family, and other Jewish residents from throughout their city were forcibly crammed into a ghetto, instantly stripped of their freedoms and their dignity. Each individual home soon packed with multiple families. Life continued on like this until the ghetto was liquidated and Jews were forced onto transports to Nazi death and labor camps. Murder became an everyday occurrence, and the bloodshed wasn't just aimed at humans. Jack's late wife, Sabina, who grew up just blocks away from Jack, watched her beloved pet dog get shot.
My wife's dog was killed. All the Jewish dogs in our city was liquidated 3 weeks before they finished up the ghetto.
And then he watched Nazis rip babies from their mothers' arms.
If the mothers went with them, they killed the mothers. They didn't even use bullets. They put sand over them, just alive, in which it could never go away from your memory, what you saw.
Jack survived multiple Nazi forced labor camps, and miraculously, he was the only one in a lineup of about 50 men to survive a scenario he can barely begin to explain. He remembers Nazis lining him and the other men up, ready to shoot them one by one, which would turn the ditch in front of them into a mass grave.
They got the guns behind us, and when we knee down,
Jack and his friend Chaim tackled the Nazi officer in charge of the lineup. All 3 of them fell into the ditch. What happened next is unbelievable.
when we fell in the grave, he started hollering, not to shoot. And I don't know how in the world I did. I went out from all the way in the grave, jumped over on the other side, and ran into the forest.
Chaim wasn't as lucky. He was shot and killed. And so was every other man in that lineup. Jack was the sole survivor.
And I was living one time in the forest by myself. I went to steal every night from a farmer to be able to eat something. And it was a miserable life.
After 1 month alone in the forest, Jack had no choice but to make his way back to a nearby Nazi camp. He was lonely and could not survive on his own, so he took his chances, hoping to be put to work and get some food. He made his way to the camp he knew his brother and cousin were at, called Sola. From there, they were taken to Pianki, an ammunition plant. Jack's future wife, Sabina, was also there. At Pianki, Jack organized a huge mission for him and 16 other prisoners to escape. Jack was able to find a wire cutter, and he cut through a fence at the camp. Just beyond the fence was a railroad track and then the forest.
Told him to lay down by the fence before I cut it. It was early in the morning when they brought us into work. I cut from the top on. Nobody should be hooked up by the wires or something like that. And soon we went over the railroad. We hear shots. We lost right away one guy.
The group of escapees, some of their names listed here, including his brother and 2 first cousins. They lived in the forest, stealing food from farmers at night to survive. The Nazi guards and Polish farmers knew the escaped prisoners were stealing and would shoot their rifles at Jack and his group. Of the 16 in the forest, only Jack and 5 others survived. His brother was shot and killed just a few weeks before liberation.
When I lost my brother, I didn't want to even live.
The specifics of Jack's survival story are detailed and impossible to fully portray in this short video segment, but his testimony is jaw-dropping for anyone privileged to hear it firsthand. He felt he had no reason to live after liberation until he went back to his hometown of Yedlinks and reunited with his childhood friend Sabina, a fellow survivor who would become the love of his life.
Jack, when did Sabina pass away?
My Sabina passed away 8 years ago. When Sabina passed away, I didn't want to live. I don't think there's another couple on this world to have a life like I got with my wife. She was unbelievable in life.
The way Jack speaks of Sabina is one of the most beautiful testaments to love I have ever heard. Together, they had 3 children and generations more to come.
I have 7 grandchildren. I got great-grandchildren, and I'm so grateful. It is so cute. All the kids are so beautiful. It's unbelievable in life.
You didn't even know if you would survive the war, and look at the family you've created.
I didn't even know I survived the war.
Like so many Holocaust survivors, the family Jack and Sabina created is their greatest revenge against the Nazis. And for the rest of his days, Jack will continue to share his story.
That Hitler, everything he committed himself to wipe out the Jewish people, he couldn't do it, and we are ahead of him. We survived another life in our history. That's what the Jewish people survived, and we should never forget it.
Strength, survival, and revival. In Miami Beach, Florida, Dana Arshin, HMTC.